Hey ladies and gents, this is Jacqueline Wilson, and I would like to welcome you to The First Thought, where I give listeners an all-access pass to my life. Tune in as I share experiences in balancing multi-roles and managing your busy life while still fulfilling your purpose. Listeners, welcome to episode 2 of the First Thought podcast. Today's purpose of this podcast is to share my journey on how I got to where I am. A great way to inspire someone to share your life story. My life has had many ups and downs that helped shape me into the person that I am today. And if you listen to the first podcast, you may have wondered how I got to my current position. After hearing this episode, you will understand that trying to fulfill your purpose is a process. I am here today as motivation to show you the steps I took to become the First Lady of Wayne State and founding director of the HIGH program. In explaining my process, I hope you will find the motivation to achieve your own goals. More importantly, I will explain my love for helping others. Many persevere every day by making time to focus on things that can help their future regardless of their current situations. I want this podcast to be a reliable source for all. If you have ever wondered about me, who I am, and what led me to the initiative of the HIGH program, today will be the day for your questions to be answered. Every day has been a blessing, and I am extremely honored to be a part of Wayne State University and the HIGH program. Every day I give my all to ensure no student abandons their dream of earning a college degree solely because of housing or financial difficulties. With a little bit of work, miracles do happen, and every student is important. And you don't have to help 1,000, you could just help one at a time. Now that I discuss the purpose of this podcast, it's time to ask the First Lady. This is the one-on-one session segment where I provide you, my listeners, with an all-access pass into my life. Through sharing my experiences and answering questions, it is my hope that my story will encourage individuals to fulfill their purpose. A little bit about how I came to be in this position and in Detroit, and also starting the HIGH program. Well, my childhood was similar to anyone else, a normal childhood where I grew up in Dallas, Texas for the most part, until I was about 5. It was great. I came from a big family. My grandparents had 12 children. I have about 75 or 100 cousins. We're all over Texas, so Mathis is the family name. If you're my sibling, let me know. In addition to that, after being in Texas for about 5 years, my mom decided she wanted us to move out of the South and more north. So we relocated to Denver, Colorado, and that's where I feel that I got the foundation of who I am. We had a wonderful childhood, I must say, a lot of outdoor activities. My mom used to take us to drag races, and we used to go fishing. I learned how to fish at a very young age. And when we go back in the summer to go down to Dallas to see my family, my grandfather would actually take us hunting. So we're Texans and we do carry. So we all love to hunt. And it was never an issue where anybody would play with a gun that my grandfather left on the table. We all knew better. But it was nice because even though we were girls, my grandfather took us hunting and fishing and scouting for different locations to hunt for deers. So I experienced all aspects of my life, and I feel very proud of that. Back in Denver, we had a very rich experience as well because we had 4 seasons. So we were able to go tubing in the winter on snow and tubing down the river during the summer. It was quite nice. And my mom, I had a stepdad at the time. My mom and my stepdad made sure we had a very rich experience. So even though we were girls, we still had to mow the lawn, take out the trash, and clean out the garage. So I feel I'm a well-rounded woman, and I can change a tire too. With that led me to feel very confident about who I was. My mom and my family always encouraged us to do the best we can be and to not think that we could not achieve anything. I mean, if you wanted to be president, go for it. If you wanted to be top in sales at AT&T or MCI, do that. But make sure that you respect others. And so I learned a sense of treating people like I wanted to be treated. And that's what inspires me today. I feel that because I've been fortunate in my life to have certain things affordable to me, I wanted to make sure that if there was a student struggling, that they could, have the same opportunities, knowing that a college degree can help progress you in life. So I wanted to make sure a simple $200 or $500 tuition payment would not be the reason they just said forget it and drop out. A little bit about my experience as a younger adult. For me, it was quite different. I was in Denver, Colorado. I grew up there. And interestingly enough, at the age of 19, I was married and a stepmom. So when I went to college, I went to school part-time and it was at night. And so I ran a household, held a job, was a stepmom, and a wife. So my experience was very different than the traditional students maybe at Wayne State. But I did what I had to do, and I continued college as long as I was able to. I actually got a position where I was offered at the Bell companies in telecommunications and sales. So I took that opportunity. There I worked in telecommunications in Colorado and California, over 30 years in telecommunications sales. So I felt that my career was very important at the time and still is. So I do believe that if you put your priorities in place, you focus on what's best for you, and if that is a 4-year degree in college, I strongly support that. Don't let anyone tell you that you can't do it or that you can't make it. Please make sure if you're at Wayne State and you need assistance, reach out to the HIGH program because we may be able to offer some financial support. And I guess as my position here at Wayne State as the First Lady, I am honored, again, I say, to hold this position because who knows who will come after me. But I truly believe, whether it's the male or a female, they can hold this position with honor. People ask me often, how is my life in Detroit? Well, it's quite exciting. And I'm not just saying this because I have a podcast in Detroit. I'm saying this because it's true. As a LA girl, I consider Los Angeles my home. I spent most of my life there. Having sunshine on a regular basis, it's addictive. It makes you want to stay in the sun all the time. I was such an outdoor person, rollerblading, playing basketball, going to the beach, riding my beach cruiser on the beach. And now in Detroit, I had to quickly adjust to the weather. I must say that's been the hardest part. I grew up in Colorado and it would snow, during the winter months, but the sun would always shine and it would melt the snow away. Here in Detroit, it's a little bit different in Michigan. I kid you not. These past winters have been tough to chew. But because of the mission that I'm doing here and the legacy that I'd like to leave with the HIGH program and my role as the First Lady, the mission that the president of the university has and he wants to complete, I'm all in. And I feel that Detroit, it's the best time to be here. When we came here 5 years ago, there weren't even street lights. There was nobody picking up trash. The crime rate was over the top. And in addition to that, it was cold. So there was no good reason to be in Detroit. But we stayed and we made it happen. And I feel that I can do those pure Michigan commercials now because I'm a true believer. There's so much going on in Detroit. It's the place to be. It's one of the top cities in the United States to visit and also to live. So that'll tell you right there. I'm excited. I'm glad to be here. And I'm really happy to have set something up here in Detroit that will truly make a difference in the lives of students on Wayne State campus. Hey listeners, it's time for the beauty tip of the week. In this segment, we will discuss what not to wear to an interview. Okay, it may be obvious for some, but not for all. First and foremost, you don't wear a casual outfit to an interview. You dress for the position you'd like to have. I recommend for women, you wear a dress. I know that slacks are in most often, but it's nice just to put on a black dress. And I would say keep it simple. If it's in the winter, wear pantyhose that match your skin tone and maybe a pair of pumps. Or if you're more comfortable in flats, do some flats. For gentlemen, I would suggest always wear a tie. You don't necessarily have to wear a full suit, but you do have to wear a jacket, a blazer, a tie, shirt, and slacks. And once again, be comfortable with yourself. Whatever you're used to wearing, go for it. But also remember that you are interviewing for the position you want, maybe even your interviewer's position. So stay positive. Make sure you take a shower, be refreshed, go in, study your lines beforehand, research as much as you can about the company before going, and know that you're going to get that job and that they should give it to you. Before we end this history-driving episode of the First Thought podcast, I would like to leave you with some gems to get you through the rest of the week. Today's gem is about education. The lack of knowledge can cause unnecessary confusion. The only true wisdom is in knowing you know nothing. Education is the key that is able to open a heavy door that leads to a life free of anxiety, pain, hunger, and uncertainty. Never stop feeding your brain and always be willing to learn. Ladies and gents, that's all I have for you today. But I want to thank you so much for tuning in to the second episode of the First Thought podcast. Please rate this podcast positively, please. And don't forget to subscribe. Also, feel free to submit questions for me to answer on the show. Please contact me via email at jacquelinewilson@wayne.edu. Thank you so much for listening, and see you next week.